What's going on, you guys? I hope you guys are staying safe and staying blessed. I have my guest here, Chris Flores, with us.
Honored to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Yes, thank you so much for joining, brother. I appreciate you. But before we start our podcast, of course, we have to bow our heads and pray. So let's go on and move on to a quick prayer. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for this day that you've given us, Lord. Thank you for getting us out of bed and allowing us to use this platform to reach others who are going through situations that they feel that they don't have it within them to reach out to somebody. Lord, I pray that this video and this platform is used to, talk to people, touch people. Lord, Father God, may you guide us, heal us, help us, and fill this room with your presence. In your present name we pray, amen. So, obviously starting off with the journey of, being a follower of Christ. When for you did that all start? When did your walk with Christ and your walk with, God all start and begin?
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because I feel like a lot of people, when they start their testimony, they're like, when I was 4. But for me, it actually started when I was 10, which isn't that much of a difference, but not my journey specifically, but my introduction to everything that has to do with God and everything.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in Catholic school, but I didn't really care. You were just around it just because in Hispanic culture, it's common to be with all that.
Yeah.
But there was actually one day I remember my dad was building a gazebo in our backyard, and I was helping him out, and randomly I noticed that my body started like kind of twitching, and I couldn't really control it. It was really weird. And we didn't know what it was at first. And I tried hiding it at first, actually, because I got scared. I was like, oh, no, because my parents are going to freak out. So I tried hiding it at first. But fast forward, it actually was seizures. So out of nowhere, I had developed seizures.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in and out of the hospital because they couldn't really find what was wrong with it or what was causing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was something that was happening, like, bro, and I'm not even exaggerating. You can ask my sister, mom, anybody. The amount of times I was having it ranged between 20 and 30 times a day.
A day? 20 and 30 times a day.
Yeah, I'm not lying. Like 20 to 30 times a day. I was having seizures that frequently.
And like, to dive into that a little bit, how long would they last? Like, was it longer period? I know nothing about it. So how long would it last? Because it's 20, 30 times a day. To me, it's a lot of times throughout the day.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess thankfully they were only ranging between 30 seconds to a minute and a half, which is still a long time if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because you can't, like, a lot could happen if you're trying to drive. Obviously, I was 10, but if you're trying to drive,
Mm-hmm.
when you're having 30 seconds is a long time to not be able to look at the road.
That is.
So yeah, like that's the kind of stuff that was going on, and the doctors couldn't understand what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So, and obviously I'm 10. All I know is that there's something wrong with me. I don't really understand the gravity of it. But yeah, like I was just doing a bunch of all these tests, and eventually I got to the point where they had to put me in the hospital for like 7 days straight and doing a bunch of tests, like left and right. And I wish I could find it, but there was a study done from people studying medicine in Washington. They were watching me through a live feed, and they were trying to study to figure out what was happening. Whenever I would have a seizure, they're like, okay, what was the environment? All these different things.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they just couldn't. No one could. And it got to the point at one point that they put so much medicine in me that I remember telling my dad, I said, hey, Dad, I need to go to the bathroom. And I remember kind of rolling off the bed, trying to get off, and I just like fell straight onto the floor because they had put so much medicine in me that it actually paralyzed me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was something that looking back, I'm like, man, as a parent, that must have been hard.
I wouldn't be able to even imagine, like, seeing that, in the lens of a parent. I'm a parent, of course, but seeing that in the lens of a parent, your child is going through all this, these things, and the only thing you can really do is sit there and, pray to God that nothing more, happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, actually, funny enough, my dad was trying, well, my mom too, they were trying everything, dude, to try to figure out what this was. And they actually try to turn to the spiritual, but not the godly.
Yeah.
And it was some of the weirdest things in my life, dude. I remember they took me to this one lady that she thought it was like bad energy that was in me. So she grabbed like an egg and started like rubbing me like my head all over with it. It was just the weirdest thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she says, take this lemon or lime. I don't even remember. And she just said, put it in your pocket and carry it with you. And it's going to suck the bad energy out. So it's going to change colors. And it was the weirdest thing in the world. I was like, I don't know where you get this from.
No, yeah, I would have been like, yeah, let's pack it up.
No, I mean, they were desperate because they couldn't find, they just saw their kid. And um, basically what ended up happening with that is that at the end, towards the end, the doctor's like, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. We got to send him home. At any point, these seizures could cause permanent brain damage. He could either die or become disabled. And that really broke my parents, especially my mom, because there was at one point where my mom walks in and because her and my dad were taking turns because of work and my other siblings.
Yep.
So the hospital was an hour away from where we lived. It was in Milwaukee. So they had an alternate, and it was my mom's turn to come in. She came in, and I remember her telling the story. She always cries when she says it, but she said that when she walked in, I had asked her, I was like, have you seen my mom?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, where's my mom? So she was telling me that I didn't even recognize her. I forgot. Like there was so much medicine, things going on in my brain that I forgot who my mom was.
Wow. That is like, I don't know, back again to like the parent lens.
You have a daughter.
Yeah, I think my soul would be crushed.
Yeah, because you raised this baby for 10 years and it grew inside of you and you fed it, nurtured it, and for that kid to forget about you is, I mean that in and of itself is like you can really relate it back to God and everything.
So going from having the seizures, like how you were saying, how did that turn you towards God? Or was it something that obviously then your parents and your family started going to church, and then from there you developed your own
so
personally?
Actually the crazy part to end that story is that when the doctors had told me that you got to send him home, we don't know, he might die, that's actually when my dad and my mom separately, they didn't know they were doing this at the same time. Oh, wow. My mom goes into the bathroom and she says, God, if you're really there, you can take my life and you can spare Chris's. Mm-hmm. She leaves. My dad goes in and makes the exact same prayer. They didn't communicate.
And it's the same exact thing.
Yeah, and it's funny because they didn't know what they were saying. It's like God did take their lives, but not in the way that they thought. They thought it was going to be like, kill me and spare him.
Right.
So they said that. And that was their giving their life to Christ moment. And gone. Seizures just.
So from like 20 to 30 a day at that point.
So just zero.
To zero.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys were on the fence of like, hey, like when is it, when are we expecting an episode of having, that happen?
I mean, my dad
is gone.
You know what's crazy though? Before that, I gotta mention this part. There was a lady that, before my dad said that prayer, there was this lady that randomly came into the. I don't know the backstory of how my dad knew her, didn't know her, but he made it seem like he didn't know her.
Yeah.
And this lady came up to the hospital and told him, "Hey, the one who needs a doctor is you. The one who's sick isn't your son, it's you." And man, my dad said, he's like, man, when she said that, I just wanted to start screaming, cussing around, getting mad, because how are you going to say my son who's dying isn't the one that needs a healing, that I'm the one who needs a healing? So then they go make this prayer, that declaration of faith, boom, goes away.
Do you know, like, time frame wise of like when that lady said that to you guys, or said that to your dad?
It was during the week I was in the hospital, so it was within the same week of when they accepted Christ.
That's insane, bro.
Ain't that crazy?
That's like, it's crazy to even think that God obviously he will use other people to speak to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's like the I forgot what story it was, but the man who was drowning, and he was like, God, if you're real, save me. God, if you're real, save me. And obviously there was a boat that was there. There was a life jacket that was there, you know, that God was sending and stuff like that. And he ended up drowning
Mm-hmm.
because he wanted the actual, like, God, the creator, to come down and save him.
Mm-hmm.
And God was sending all these, you know, these things to help him be saved. So it's insane how us humans, we're so quick to be like, God, if you're real, you know, save me, come save me. And you want this actual being, you know, to come down, but he'll use people to speak to you.
100%. And that was my introduction to faith, because from there my parents came to the faith, and my dad was super on fire. He was going to every function with the Bible and everything.
Amazing.
But honestly, I was kind of annoyed because he kept being like, oh, from 10 to, well, I was like 16, 17 when I accepted Christ, and he just kept saying, you know, come to Christ. And I said, no, I don't want to. I'm not ready. Because one, I didn't like things pushed onto me.
Yeah.
And two, I didn't see the value in it. And I remember he was actually the one who baptized me, because we have this ranch over in Honduras, and yeah, he had baptized me, and
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy, and all that time. And for some people may be skeptical about the whole seizure thing, be like, oh well, the medicine, because I ended up taking medicine, and I don't recommend this at all. But at the same time, my parents kind of fumbled a little bit because I was 10 years old, and they would try to they trusted me to take my own medicine.
Yeah.
So when I was like 13 and stuff like that, I just started flushing it down the toilet because I hated the taste of it.
Wow.
So I went straight cold turkey on the medicine, and nothing happened. Even the doctors, when they found out I did that, man, they were mad, but they were like, I don't know how you didn't have an explosion of episodes and everything. And it's by the grace of God that showed me that I was healed.
It's all God's work, bro. All
100%.
God's work.
But I say where I came to Christ for real.
Yeah.
It's because when I was 16, you know, high school, figuring that out, wasn't really taking it seriously. But I got into a relationship that lasted 4 years. So when I got to 20, that's when everything just boom. I wasn't taking my relationship seriously with God, just doing my own thing, putting him in the back burner. And I remember I was working at Panda Express at the time. Yeah. And out of nowhere, I just got a seizure. Out of nowhere. Which, looking back, which is kind of crazy because they let me drive home. And I'm just like, why would you let a dude that just had a seizure drive home?
Right.
You know what I mean? But I drove home, told my parents, freaking out. They were getting flashbacks of all that stuff, and happened again. 20 to 30. And I remember in that moment, I had lost that relationship. She had left. I had to drop out of school. I had to stop working. Couldn't go to work anymore with seizures. So I lost literally everything.
Yeah.
And, well, what I thought was everything. And I just stood there, just remember in tears. Didn't feel like I had anything going for me in life. Had in tears on my dad's couch at the time. And I remember God really coming through in that moment. Like, I was just bawling my eyes out. And I felt like something just poked me right in the ribs.
Right.
You know, it's funny because anyone who knows me knows that I'm extremely ticklish.
Mm-hmm.
So I got this poke, and man, I jerked up out of nowhere. It wasn't one of those random cramps. Which, by the way, I've never had a cramp in my life because the Honduran diet, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the Honduran diet has so much potassium. And we
You never get cramps like that, ever.
I never got in a cramp in my life. I could say before God. And,
wow.
Because bananas is something that's very, very common in the Honduran diet.
Guys, take your potassium.
No, 100%. But anyways, and I just felt like this gentle whisper, as it says in Isaiah. Like, I just felt this gentle whisper saying that, like, hey, I love you. And some people look for this grand moment for God to speak to them and just have this explosion of the Holy Spirit. But it wasn't that.
Yeah.
I tie it back to that one story where this guy in the Bible who he's waiting for God to show up, and there was an earthquake and a great fire and wind, and he kept saying after each like really cool event, it says, but God wasn't in that. He wasn't in the fire. He wasn't in the earthquake. But then it says when he felt the gentle whisper, he covered his face because he's like, oh, he felt the presence of God. Because back then you can't see God and live. So it was beautiful because I look at that moment, and that's when I felt like he really spoke to me. And I didn't need no huge moment to feel him. It was like that one intimate moment, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to dedicate my life to you.
Yeah.
So the first seizures were for my parents to listen. The second one was for me. And I'm like, Lord, you could just tell me. You could just tell me through someone. You don't need to give me seizures again to learn the lesson.
No more of that, please, God. But that for you, like your story, it's insane because I mean, he ultimately used you to get to your parents. Right?
Mm-hmm.
He was using all these different people to speak to your dad, like how you said, and speak to your mom, like how you said. So it really is insane how he is able just to use somebody just to speak life into you. Right? He can use anybody to speak life into you, and you never know. But for you now, talking about passion, and I know you're big into discipling people. What would you say is your biggest, I don't want to say non-negotiables, but if somebody came up to you asking you, Chris, I need you to help me and, kind of disciple me and lead me in discipleship, what would you give them advice on?
Man, I think humility is a big thing because I look at the pastors that I have now, Pastor Jake, Gio, and everyone that's coached me, my old girl group leaders. And one, I don't think you should be a burden for the person that's discipling you.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is don't make it hard for them to coach you. You got to be teachable.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you're going to be perfect. That doesn't mean that you're going to have everything put together. But at the same time, these people are here to help you. Right. And they're not going to call something out just to be bogus. Because why would you disciple them just to humiliate them? You know what I mean? So when they call things out, it's because they love you. So what I look for is more of someone who has the humility to admit when they're wrong, even when it hurts. Because, when someone calls you out, it hurts.
It could feel like a stab to the chest.
It does. But that's the type of the things that cause you to change. Because if you just stay in what you want to stay in, that's cool, but you're never going to grow. Literally everything in creation has a frustration point when it's growing. You look at an egg, and when a chick grows in an egg, it has to grow uncomfortable with its shell when it grows so big to the point it breaks out of its shell. And in the same way, we work out. It's this uncomfortability of the muscles tearing, and it's just always walking hand in hand. Growing and uncomfortability is always hand in hand. But not everyone really wants that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say humility is a huge non-negotiable because if you just refuse to move and if you refuse to be and move forward, then you don't really get anywhere. You look at Jesus and the disciples, how he had them let go of certain things in order to move. And I know this might sound bogus, but it's the truth. Some of the truth in the gospel can sound offensive when it's not offensive. It's just that we get offended.
Yeah.
So when it says don't throw your pearls, when Jesus actually said don't throw your pearls to the pigs, think about it. To pigs, even though that pearls can be valuable, it's all the same. They're just gonna eat it with the dirt, the food, and everything. It's all the same to them. So it's not that the person has to be perfect, but if you're wasting your efforts on someone that it's all the same, if you tell them, and there's very few that some people are like that though. Some people can be so stubborn that they're just like, no, I'm not gonna let go of my ways, and that doesn't mean give up on them. Because still pray for them,
right?
But just in the same way, if you had a personal training client that doesn't want to lift the weights, doesn't want to stop eating unhealthy, doesn't want to do the work, complains, and when you say, "Hey, do one more rep," and they're like, "No," then you're both kind of like, "Why am I paying for this? Why are you paying for this? Why am I training you?" So in the same way, it's that
You kind of have to like die to self. What you saying?
100%. Pick up your cross.
Yeah.
Yeah, pick up your cross, and yeah. But I honestly love discipling because it's not them being like me.
Mm-hmm.
I have a framework. I can just be like, "Hey, this is how Jesus was, so let's model that."
Right.
I think that's the beautiful part about discipling, that it takes pressure off of me, and I could just attempt to imitate Christ. Like Paul says, imitate me as I imitate Christ. So it's like a weight lifted off your shoulders. That you don't have to be this perfect person, but you could just say, "Hey, Christ, he set this standard. Let's try to follow that standard." And I love teaching too. I love the teaching of the word and everything. So huge passion of mine.
Would you say your experiences of like going through the seizures and stuff like that like really motivated you to teach and to disciple people, or?
Honestly, I think I just had a passion to learn. I've always had a passion to learn.
Yeah.
I remember in high school, I don't know, God's always given me that gift of learning, because in math class, it was right after gym class. I remember I would sit on top of the vents. I wouldn't even sit at my desk. I would sit on top of the vents and just let the cold air hit. I just let the cold air hit. Wouldn't even be sitting at a desk, which I look back at it. Honor your teachers. God placed them there.
Right.
But yeah, I would just literally just not really pay attention, just through hearing. And then everything the teacher would say, it would come into my mind, and it would almost like stick. So whenever it was time to do homework and tests, it was just a breeze. Just did it. Always first one done and everything. So I always loved, but what I loved about that wasn't being able to hear it and just go, take the test and be good. What I really loved about it was teaching people how to kind of replicate that. I loved explaining a subject that people struggled with and then break it down. And when I see that person understanding, oh my gosh, it brings me life.
It's like a different type of like happiness, because you're ultimately helping someone develop and grow, into the next step. So that's teaching is something I feel like not a lot of people do nowadays. Like I don't know. I feel like there's a difference between teaching and preaching.
100%.
But yeah, it's good when I understand that feeling on what you mean. And it can be through any life experience, right? You could talk about God and teaching them, Christ. You could talk about the gym. You could talk about any other subject. Once you see somebody understand something and see them understand what you're saying, and them actually get it, it does bring light to you, So I feel like discipleship is very tough too, because you're dealing with somebody's personality. Everybody's personalities are different. Some people can't take harsh criticism.
No. I used to not be able to.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that right now. Like it's sometimes I get in these ways where I'm listening to someone trying to correct me, right, for the better of myself, which I can't see during that point. But I'm like, bro, like, why are you talking to me?
It's funny because in Proverbs 15, the second half of verse 10 says, "Those who hate correction will die."
Yeah.
And yeah, that can mean literally dying.
Yeah.
But dying in the sense of so much of what you leave within you is going to run in your family later on.
Yeah.
So if you're prideful to say sorry or admit you were wrong or show emotion or turn around when you're wrong, your daughter can pick that up when she's older.
Exactly.
So that's the importance of it.
And I feel like also having a partner to also correct you is very important, right? Having your, obviously your partner with you to let you know, like, hey, that wasn't right, or hey, you shouldn't do that. Kind of correct you in a sense where you might be doing something that you don't even realize, and they see it from a third person point of view. And, hearing that could be tough too, because you're like, why are you correcting me? But it's for the best, right? It's ultimately for the best
Right.
because, like how you said, your family and generations to come can carry that on
It
within
stings.
you.
It stings, man. Even just last night, my girlfriend had told me, she's like, you shouldn't be eating like a half a box of Oreos. And it was funny because she's right, but I don't want to admit she's right. And it makes me mad because she starts saying your goals for the year, and you want a partner that does that.
Yeah.
But it frustrates me because in that moment I was hungry, bored, and because that's my issue. I'll eat when I'm bored.
Are you a snacker?
Yes,
Okay.
huge snacker. So when that happens, I get bored, but you need someone that comes along um and does that. And in Proverbs, when it says that he who finds a wife finds something very valuable,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's the way I kind of see that when it's not just having fun together. It's not just the romance phase, but it's actually the fact that you're gonna model something for other people, younger couples, and everything. And obviously, I'm not married yet,
Yeah.
but you want to live your life above reproach, and you want to live a life that people can look at and see it as an example.
So, question: if somebody asked you, like, "Hey, Chris, I want you to disciple me, right? I want you to help me grow closer to God, help me build that relationship closer to God, and stuff like that," right? Is it? Do you have like a specific type of method that you go by or follow, or is it you kind of gauge it based off of what the person struggles are in the moment?
Yeah. So my first goal when it comes to that is the more you know about Jesus, the more you're gonna love him. I always equate your relationship with Jesus to a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because you see a lot of parallels between marriage and how God wants you to love him.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to have this thing where I'll put an example like this. You don't love your partner because you have to or
Mm-hmm.
because someone else tells you to.
Right.
The more you knew about her and the more you learned about her, the more you loved her. And then the more you grew to love her, the easier it was to serve her.
Mm.
So the more you know about God and the more you learn about him, and it's not just he's powerful, he's this, but when you see things on this level, I'll give you an example. You're familiar with the story when Jesus was telling Peter after he denied him and he said 3 times, he said, Peter, do you love me?
Yeah.
So he tells him 3 times, he says, Peter, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And he says, feed my sheep, tend to my sheep. So in English,
Mm-hmm.
we only have one word for love. But what I like about that story is when you look at it in the Greek, there's 3 words for love, multiple, but there's 3 main in the Bible.
Okay.
There's eros, which is a sexual love, philia, which is brotherly love, and then there was agape that was unconditional, more divine type God, the way that God loves us.
Yeah.
So when Jesus says, Peter, do you love me? If you put the correct Greek word in that sentence, the way it translates is, Peter, do you unconditionally love me?
Mm-hmm.
And then Peter responds with filio, meaning he said, yes, Lord, I love you like a brother.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jesus, since he's using agape, he says it again. He said, Peter, do you unconditionally love me? Again. And again, Peter says, I love you like a brother. He doesn't understand.
Yeah.
He can't comprehend loving someone unconditionally. So then what I love is the third time that Jesus says that, he says, Peter, do you filio? Meaning he went down to his level. And he says, do you love me like a brother? And then Peter says, yes, I love you like a brother.
Mm-hmm.
Why I love that is that it's not just a story about restoration, like a lot of people will preach. It's a story where Peter is not only being restored, but Jesus is going down to his level because he doesn't understand agape, unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
He's going down to his level.
Right.
And he says, I know you don't know what unconditional love is, but through our relationship, you'll learn what it is. I'm going to go down to where you are. I'm going to meet you where you're at.
Now.
And if you look at Peter in his books and later on when he's talking about love in his writings, he uses agape. So what that tells me is that Jesus will come down to my level, meet me where I'm at, but not want me to stay where I'm at, and then bring me back up to where he wants me.
Right, he wants you to understand.
because he'll call you out with the goal in mind.
Mm-hmm.
He says, Peter, unconditional love. But he couldn't get to that. So he's like, okay, cool. I'm going to come down and I'm going to show you how it is to unconditionally love someone. So I like going and I like showing people that.
Mm-hmm.
That's my passion. I don't care about sounding good. That's my passion. That you see that and you're like, wow, I didn't know that he does that. You see verses of him crying, compassionate. When you see that part of God,
Mm-hmm.
you fall in love with him like that.
Instantly.
And then you want to serve him even more.
Yeah.
So
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You said agape, Aries,
Eros is the
Eros,
sexual, and
sorry.
Filio,
and Filio.
which is the brotherly love, like where you get Philadelphia, city of brotherly love.
Yeah. Wow. That's insane. And he will go down to your level, bring you back up. That's good though. That's good that you put it in that sense of what discipleship means to you, in a sense where you're able to, bring somebody up, lift them up closer to God. So, was there a moment when following God made your life harder, and did you ever question if it was worth it?
I wouldn't say it was just a moment. I think it's the whole walk itself and how confronting it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because, man, I could not deal with the failures. I would always try to hide my failures, sinning, whatever, not missing the mark, something at church, anything. I just hated it. I hate how you, in the Christian walk, it is good to expose your failures, because I hate it. Because the way I grew up, because my dad was a businessman, failure wasn't an option. If you failed, there was consequences. It's like that in business. And I wasn't taught that failure is a teacher. I thought failure was an identity, in the sense of if you fail, you're always going to be a failure. So I was scared, deathly afraid. And I'm talking down to, and my dad has changed a lot from when he was Christian. It was like a night and day difference when he became Christian. But it was things like, bro, he would send me to the store, and if I would come back with the wrong thing or overspent or whatever, man, it would just start drilling into me and my sister. And so he was very harsh. And so whenever we would get something for him, we'd be at the store. It could be like an apple, bro, because he loved apples.
Right.
And we were scared to come back home, and we'd be at that store for 30 minutes examining every single little apple, making sure there was no blemishes and everything, because that's what we were accustomed to.
Right.
So with this Christian walk, you're not perfect. And that was really hard to admit. Because if you're not perfect, that's what bothered me. Because I was taught that 0 failures, 0 errors meant that's the standard.
Right.
So when I'm doing this walk, it became so much, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, the annoying, it doesn't even explain how that feels, because you bring so many things to the light.
Yeah.
So then when I have all these people calling things out, or I'm realizing things about myself, or the Holy Spirit points something out, it felt agonizing. And I didn't want to admit any of my failures. I even think about when I first started the People College program here at People Church, they do this thing called Preacher's Roulette, where you get up there randomly, you don't know who's getting called, and usually it's just the college director and the students. But the time that I went was when all the pastors pulled up.
All pulled up at once. Right?
All of them. You got the head pastors, you got the executive pastors, they're all pulling up. I was just like, oh, this is just a regular night. I didn't think I was going to get called. Yeah. And granted, because I know that God has this over my life, I would always prepare something in the beginning. But funny enough, I felt like God that morning told me, I need you to practice with the timer. I was like, nah, I got it. Get up on stage, you got 5 minutes.
To preach a word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a quick word. And I don't know how to really connect my points in a timely manner. So much going through my head, overthinking it. I'm like 1 point out of 3 in, and then boom, timer goes off. And man, I drilled into myself for like 2 weeks. Everyone else forgot about it, but in my head, in front of 50 people, the pastors, everything, I failed. I messed up. And I was like, dang, God even told me to practice with this.
Yeah, practice for this time, because
I didn't, and he told me that morning. So, man, I was so frustrated. I was drilling into myself. And I said, God, I told you, I don't understand why you want to embarrass me. You know, I can't speak well. You know, I can't. And Moses, I literally, the excuse with Moses, I said, you know, I can't speak well. You know that I'm not good at this. Why did you bring me up there just to embarrass me? I told you this life, this preaching, this teaching isn't for me. At that same college program, it's funny how I said that in my first year. And then 4 years later, I was actually teaching that exact same class.
yeah,
I was teaching that exact same program. Just got done doing the Synoptic Gospels, which is the first three, because they're a lot alike.
yeah,
But it was crazy how much of a full circle that moment was, that I went from messing up a 5-minute thing to doing a 45 to an hour preaching. Well, you kind of do both when you teach, to be honest.
Yeah.
When you teach, you preach and you teach.
yeah,
You just go into more depth, but man, God really redeemed that, and you don't really notice it too. In the real time, you don't think about it until God reminds you. Because it wasn't until I was up there talking and I told the students, I was like, dang, don't be afraid of myself, because I messed up here and look where I'm at now, right in front of you guys teaching. And that's all God, not me. I didn't do it. If you were to ask me how I got here, I don't know. I just put my head down, did what God wanted me to do, and then somehow it worked out.
yeah. That's insane. Like the preparation stages he took you through. The whole time you're beating yourself up about it, and you know, you were like, why did I fail? Why did I fail? You took 2 weeks on it, right? It was probably eating you up alive for 2 weeks straight.
Bro, I couldn't sleep that night. I was this hard on myself on failure.
And that's insane, because like obviously the environment grew up in had to do with that as well, right? So it's what you grew up in, and perfection was the only thing you thought about. And as soon as you got on the stage, he's like, it's a good thing that he did that to you, because not that he was trying to embarrass you, but it's because he was trying to show you, like, you're not perfect.
Definitely humbling.
And
Definitely humbled me.
You're not gonna be perfect. You never will be perfect, right? I'm perfect is what God is telling you, but he's also letting you know, like, it's preparation for what I have for you later. And I think that's one of the hardest things to even accept. It goes back to, I know in my last podcast I shared about me failing, right? And I had an exam that I was taking. I would beat myself up about it a lot, bro. It was bad to the point where I don't know if I was on a verge of depression. It was bad. I would beat myself up about it, because I had a lot of pressure. The thing is, I didn't understand that pressure made diamonds. And for myself, being able to hear everybody talk too, that's another thing, is like, you hear everybody talk down on you when you're down, and you beat yourself up even more about it, and it doesn't help you.
People try to be like, man, it's not that bad. No, to me it does.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it's easy. It shouldn't be this difficult. Why is it taking this long? And those are the questions that I would start to replay in my mind, right? Why haven't I been able to surpass my goal yet, right? Why is it taking 3.5 years? Why is it taking 6 times, 7 times, right? Why is it taking this long for me to do this one little goal, which might be the easiest part of my task, but why is it taking so long, right?
Yeah, people give up really easy.
Exactly.
I mean, I even shared a little bit ago, the statistic on podcast, and how I think it was like between 80 and 90 podcasts don't make it past episode 10, and only, I think, less than 2% make it past episode 20. So now you gotta go.
Yeah,
you gotta go.
I got a lot more podcasts to book up.
There you go.
But back to what I was saying of it, it's tough to understand that God has you in a preparation season. It is very, very tough. And once you look back at the reasons on why he made you wait, right? Because I remember taking my exam. I'm not gonna dive too deep into it because a lot of people know about it. But when I took my exam, the last time I took it before the time I passed was before my daughter was born, a week before my daughter was born.
Crazy.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, God, like, I hope you give it to me now. Like, give it to me now. I deserve it. I'm gonna have a lot on my plate with when I have a kid. My life's gonna change drastically. Like, give it to me now. Like, I need this. And I took it, failed, and I beat myself up about it. And from there, it was preparation.
Man, whenever you say "give it to me now" to God, it's automatically a pass up. You ain't getting it now.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, you're done. So it's insane. It's insane. He takes you through all these seasons, and he takes you through a preparation season, and it's only for the better.
Oh, 100%. I think a lot of people hear the example of gold and how it gets purified. It gets put down in the heat, and then it gets in that process of taking out the impurities. But have you actually ever heard of how they refine silver?
I haven't, no.
So if you ask anyone who, like a silversmith, I don't know what they're called. Actually, what they do is that they heat up the silver, and they heat it up. They put it through so much intense heat, and it's crazy because you got to be in that field to really know when it's ready.
Right.
So there was someone who actually asked a silversmith, they said, when do you know that silver is ready? And he says that silver is ready when I can see my reflection in it. So that's why in the Bible, where you see it talks about being refined like silver, it's because that is God's process for you. That he's going to keep turning up the heat because he wants to see his reflection in you.
Yeah.
So that's the way he goes about it.
Crazy,
ain't it?
Bro. That is insane. It's insane, dude.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
How the word can be that sharp and that relatable, and that it just is just all this new layers that you don't even see. And trust me, people can read the Bible and it's one thing, but when you get into the original language, man, it's so poetic.
He said, so I can see my reflection in you.
That's so poetic. There's I could tell you, man, a million things that are my favorite things to notice in the Bible.
It's crazy. Have you gone through the whole Bible?
I actually finished reading through it before the end of last year.
Nice.
So I'm still waiting on part 2.
Yeah, that's nice, bro. That's insane.
Oh, you didn't even catch that?
I didn't. No, I didn't.
There is no part 2 in the Bible.
We're gonna cut that off now.
Yeah, no, you go. But
that's insane to even think, like, to read through the whole Bible. Me and my girl, we were having a challenge. We're not having a challenge, but this year we're gonna try to dive more deeper into it. I heard you can read the Bible, and correct me if I'm wrong, within like 90 to 120 days.
Yeah, you could. I mean, the way I went about it was there were some times I would read about 4 pages. Everyone's Bible's different.
Right.
But there's 66 books.
Yeah.
So you could really chop that up fairly well. So you can chop that up in a way where it doesn't get in the way. You could probably do maybe like 4 chapters a month. It depends. It depends on how you want to go about it, because there's multiple ways. Because some of them are really short. I think there's 2 or 3 at the end of the New Testament that are like, they're just 1 chapter.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It's quick. Yeah. So you can definitely go through it. You definitely go through it quick.
Yeah, and you see so many cross references. That's so cool when you go through it. Because I always tell people to start in the New Testament, learn about Jesus, but when you can see the broader scope, it just amazes me how 40 different authors across about 1,500 years wrote this book and not a single one contradicts each other.
It's insane.
If one person did that, everyone would be like, man, this is the best book in the world. But 40 different people, you can't tell me that there's ever been a book like that.
Anthony Philip Mitchell, it's a big big preacher, big pastor. He talked about you can't even get 20 people in the room to agree on one thing.
No,
So to have
exactly.
40 people to do it across 1,500
Exactly.
years
And also
is insane.
look, in the beginning, when the flood with Noah happened, it says that he released a raven at first, came back, but because he wanted to see if the flood has subsided, and it was gone. He releases a dove, and this is the interesting part. He releases a dove, it comes back, olive branch. And he releases it again, because that first time he saw that, it was starting to recede. He releases it again. It doesn't come back because it's looking for life. So that's what Noah knew. If the dove had not come back, it meant that it had found life to start building on. Did you know the very next time, the Bible throughout all those books, you're talking about thousands, you got hundreds, thousands of years, the Bible does not mention a dove descending, because in Genesis, the dove ascends.
Yeah.
The next time the Bible ever talks about a dove descending was when it says when Jesus got baptized and the dove descended or it says the Holy Spirit descended on Jesus like a dove in the form of a dove. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Thousands of years difference, but then you see all of a sudden that correlation that this dove was released to go find life, and then the Spirit descends like a dove on the life, because Jesus says, I am the true way, the truth, and the life. Yeah. So he found the life. I love that imagery.
I love that. That's insane.
Isn't that insane?
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that's the kind of things that make you love God so much more, because that's cool.
Yeah,
it's not just, oh, and it's good to know, but that's cool how, okay, Noah, literally the world got baptized.
Right.
Because it flood.
Yeah.
And then coming out of that world baptism, it's the flood. Or it's the seeing if the flood had subsided. And this is what the part I didn't mention. When Noah knew that the waters had subsided, he knew that God's wrath was over. And if you look at throughout the New Testament, if you sinned, God's wrath was upon you unless you did a sacrifice. So when Jesus comes along and the dove descends on Jesus, it's another marker of God's wrath has subsided. Because now he's going to put that all on Jesus, and we can live through grace and love. Man, and that's so amazing.
Beautiful.
Ain't it?
That's beautiful.
What other poet, philosopher could write something like that? Because Noah didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah. That's beautiful, bro.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm like thinking deep about it. I'm going to be on my way home driving. It's going to be like, damn. It's crazy.
Puts into perspective.
Yeah. What kind of legacy do you hope to build through your faith?
Man, I really hope that whatever I teach, that when people see teachings, preachings, or hear any of it, I don't care that they go and are amazed by it. I don't want people to hear me talk and hear Chris. I want them to hear the words of their Savior. I really want them to walk away from every teaching, every preaching, and think, wow, God, you're amazing. If people do that, then I've succeeded. But if people come and, wow, Chris, you're an eloquent speaker, and which I don't think that I am. I don't think, half the time I finish talking, I'm like, man, did I even make any sense? But I love it when people come in and they say, man, God really spoke to me through what you said. Because that's what I live for. That's the kind of legacy I want to live, is that someone like Billy Graham.
Yeah.
He was made famous by making someone else famous, which is Jesus. That's the kind of life, not necessarily I want to be famous, but I just want him to be well known. Not just I know of him, but well known.
Yeah.
That's my legacy, and that's what I want to leave, and that's what I want to pass down. If I could replicate that, that'd be amazing, So
it's beautiful, brother. And last question. What piece of advice would you have given to your younger self? Now that you're older, what piece of advice would you have given to your younger self?
Man, I think it would be have more patience and grace with yourself. And I know that can be a buzzword because, man, I hate buzzwords, but
Yeah.
it's a buzzword and people use it and throw it around. But I spend so much time showing my wins and hiding my losses that translated into showing the people that I'm around the good side of me and not the parts of me that I felt like were ugly. And
Yeah.
because of that, I never felt like I was fully loved because I wasn't fully known. So if I'm not fully known in my mistakes and in my wins, how am I going to feel fully loved?
Mm.
Because I need someone to look at moments where I fall short or I'm going to the gym, but then eat like a whole box of Oreos. And for someone to still look at that and not criticize me and make room for my errors, that's
Mm.
the part that really speaks to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that I wish I would have known earlier on, that it's okay. And that even with my parents, they didn't push me just to agitate me or to make me feel bad, but there was times where they pushed me for a better life.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see that. But I like, because kids are like wet cement. Whatever the imprint is, whatever the imprint is. And sometimes you got to go back and correct that. But I would say that for me, that it's okay to fail, that you can fail at something and not be a failure.
Yeah.
So
I love that, bro. I love that. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your time, bro. That's really, really good.
thank you, bro.
I love the wisdom you were able to share with us. But I appreciate you guys all tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. On to the next. Stay safe, stay blessed. God bless you guys.